All right, let's just dive into the two methodologies that I see people playing warrior. One is to do like a furious stab setup where you're favoring like upfront burst. And then the other one is more consistent damage. This setup, we're buffing our Fury Blade, but we're also buffing our cross slashes as much as possible. Where this is going to come more into play is later on when you start getting like enough Omni. Like I'm almost at 6% Omni to where my armor pen bonus is going to get increased by a whole chunk. This is like how I've been playing my warrior for like the longest time, because I wanted this like consistent damage. But then when I was looking at, here, let's look at damage real quick. Like 4,100 on the spike. Could be a little bit better if I did like the right debuffs at the right time. Now, what I learned was like with this setup, this is very much more of like a brawler setup in the sense that your cross slashes are powerful, but then you also have very high burst capabilities because we are buffing the armor penetration base damage with this passive here. We're getting 30% more base damage, and we're increasing the combo rate of the next move. So obviously you want to like jump in, hit him with that, blow him up with this, hit him with it again. Okay. What you're using cross slash and your final strike to do is generate your wrath. Okay, wrath is basically filling up this little emblem here. So final strike's going to provide 2, cross slash is going to give you 1, and then we can buff these further from like this passive here. We're going to increase the base damage of cross slash by 9%, and if we're at 0 wrath, so if we're completely drained, if we open with cross slash, we're going to get a wrath. Now, final strike is very much like an execute. So you get this bonus damage on final strike if the target's less than 25% HP. You can override this HP requirement only by chance. So I had like 1 point left over and I figured, all right, 10% of the time if I override it, that's cool. I'll let that be kind of like a special execute scenario. You could put more points in this if you want to. Having played this and going through the parsing, it doesn't seem like this passive cross assault isn't really worth it, because all it's going to do, it's just going to buff that third hit. That's what it does. It's a significant increase, but it's like you're spammable. Now, again, this setup that I have right here is really meant for like big upfront burst. This ability has a really big punch because we're doing 300% of our attack plus 784. You can then get gear that adds even more extra damage on top of your armor penetration. And I could be wrong about this, but it sounds like you can stack this special aptitude across multiple pieces. So you could potentially make this thing absolutely slam. But even that being said, what I noticed from looking at this data was your armor penetration doesn't really do a whole lot of the majority of your damage. It's going to really come from Fury Blade. And because we have our cross slash super buffed with the extra base damage here, and then the third hit getting buffed by 75%, that's why our data here is showing a really high percentage of the damage that we did. Now, you can buff your cross slash damage even more if you put points into here and basically add an 80% damage increase after you use your final strike. So like your combos would probably look something like boom, hit him with that, boom, and then you start charging up your cross slash. Now, what I realized from looking at this was, wow, the majority of my damage is Fury Blade. How can I buff Fury Blade even more? So what I decided to do for my DPS warrior was look at what are all the different ways to buff this. Let me just make sure I'm on my talent 1. And I haven't tested this in PvP, but I can tell you just from dueling people and parsing on the dummy, it hits like a freaking truck. what we're doing here is instead of going Final Strike, which has that execute capability, we're picking up Furious Stab. And what Furious Stab is going to do is generate one less Wrath, but when we use Furious Stab, it's going to make the next Fury Blade that we do 15% more damage. Now, what we were testing here earlier was these 2 points into here. Again, it's going to increase your combo rate by 8%, and it's going to increase the damage that this pen does. By not having these 2 points in here is that we're going to have a hard time keeping up with the cooldowns to keep buffing our Fury Blade. So I'll show you this first version. So you can see our damage has adjusted a lot more towards the Fury Blade versus the other abilities. Now, we can take this a step further. Again, like the benefit of Armor Pen is it hits really hard, but it's got that 10% damage increase. So during those 4 seconds of the damage increase, you want to get off as many Fury Blades as possible. So the way that we would adjust this to make it a little bit better, pick up these 3 points. After your Wrath is full, you have a 100% chance of entering the Rage status for 5 seconds up to 10 seconds when repeatedly acquired. Casting Fury Blade while in this status deals additional damage 1 time. So basically, whenever your Wrath is full and you get Rage, the Rage is gonna do extra damage. The Wrath, this charging up, is going to reset the cooldown of your Fury Blade. So again, to generate Wrath, we use Cross Slash. It generates 1 Wrath, and then we can use our Final Strike or our Fury Stab. So then we're gonna get Armor Penetration here. Has a 100% chance to send you into the Rage. So that is instantly after it is cast. So what does that mean? It means when I go up here and I hit him with this, I'm automatically in Rage, and I can just spam my Fury Blade over and over and over again because we're filled up. Now, this is really useful on the tail end of your rotation, because what actually happens is you eventually do drop out of this like Wrath Rage state. And the timing is such that this ability's cooldown comes off and you're immediately right back into it. And that's why Warrior has such high DPS, is because you basically can have a continuous state of full Wrath and Rage if you do your rotations correctly. So after this, because so much of our damage happens while we have Rage activated, and again, the Fury Blade is where a lot of our damage comes from, we're going to want to get 3 points into here, but we can't do that just yet. We got to get it here. So instead of getting Final Strike, again, we're not doing Final Strike. We're going to go down to Fury Stab. And I don't really need to get any more combo rate. If I was like super close, I guess I technically could like put these points into there and, you know, I'd be at the next combo damage increase, and maybe that's worth it. I don't really know. If I had like 1 floater point and I was within 1 point, I'd probably put it in there, because then that 1 point is giving me 1% combo and then also 2% combo damage. I just can't justify putting 3 points into this when you get so much other utility and faster cooldowns for all the other abilities. So we're going to go with this. So while in Rage, again, we get our Rage instantly when we pop this. While in Rage, each time Fury Blade is cast, every time our Wrath is full, we get a recast of Fury Blade. Its remaining duration is increased by ½ a second. The duration of Rage. So you max this out. Every time you do Fury Blade, you get an extra 1.5 seconds on your Rage. So we go in here and we pop this. You see the duration here. Resets. Resets. Now, while we're in Rage and we're doing those abilities, we want to do more damage. So we get that. Now over here, Fury Blade will deal 2% more base damage per point. So we jack this up. That's 6% more base damage. And then when you hit a target, there's an 18% chance of dealing additional damage once. But remember, we go in here, you can spam it, all right? at least 2 times. And again, this is a 4-second debuff. You want to get as many Fury Blades off within those 4 seconds as possible. Most people that I fight, if I debuff them correctly with my PvP passives from Charge and Crippling Strike, I guess I'll show you kind of like the full combo. I'll go pop this, I'll dive in, pop this, hit him with this, hit him with this, healing reduction, and then I'm just like trying to either execute them with like Final Strike, or I'm just going to kill them with Cross Slash, or I'm going to get another Fury Blade. But anytime I do this, when I apply the charge, they're going to be rooted for half a second, but also because of my passives here, if I look at charge, the immobilize inflicted by charge is prolonged by 2.5 seconds. Continuous control from effects of the same type will be diminished. But more importantly, right here, the direct damage dealt to the decelerated target is increased by 20%. So whenever you initiate with charge, again, you want to like leap in, pop them, debuff them, hit them once, hit them twice, healing reduction, and then you're just chopping with these. And what you're trying to do here is build up wrath. You're building this thing up. See this? You're building this up so that you could potentially get full stacks. And you see, if we get to full, it'll immediately be activated. Boom. Now we're in rage. We're doing more damage. So that's your cross. Again, your cross slash is what's going to maintain your stacks here. Okay. And your final strike will also help. But the thing is, our final strike is really good for execute right now. We're going to change that. So as we move down our talent tree, remember before we talked about how if you put 3 points into here, for every 3 cross slashes cast, your damage is going to increase by up to 75%. That's only on the 3rd cross slash. So we're not going to do that. We're going to go here. We're going to go down to here. So now we have this new move called Furious Stab. It's not going to do as much damage. It's 105% of your attack plus 280, and it's going to grant 1 wrath, but it has 2 charges. So you basically are getting 2 wrath, right? But take this out and look at your final strike. This is 146 for 385. This definitely hits a lot harder, and it has that instant 2 wrath generation. And you have the chance of triggering additional damage if they're low HP. But again, this is for like, a gank execute type of setup. We're not doing that. We want consistent big hits. So we're going to go to here. We're going to grab this. So we get 15% more damage when we do a Furious Stab before our Fury Blade. And what's really nice about this combo is you leap in, you debuff them with this, you pop them with Armor Pen, big burst, they're debuffed. You hit them, instead of starting with Fury Blade, you're going to start with Furious Stab and then hit him with Fury Blade. So they're going to be taking 10% extra damage here, 20% extra damage, or whatever your passive is for this. So I have 20% right now. So 20% from the passive, 10% from this, and then another 15% from the buff that Furious Stab gives you. All that's going to go into your Fury Blade. And because you pop your Armor Pen, you're now in rage status, which means you're going to get an additional 4.5% damage bonus. So it's a lot, right? It's a lot all at once. So now what we got to look at is, okay, how do we work our way down to basically get these? These are the passes that we want to get. So you have some options. You can reduce the cooldown of Furious Stab, which I have started to really like. So while you're in that rage state, the base cooldown is reduced by 20%. So we go from 5.9 seconds down to, I don't know what it changes, but do the math, you can figure it out. It gets shorter, but you're also more likely to land a combo with this hit, which is just like extra damage. So we still got to go down. I think that what I did is I didn't get this. This is going to increase the base damage by 15% when you don't have rage. And this essentially just helps you generate wrath. However, what I decided to do was just go with this. So cross slash is just going to get more damage. And I think we just need, just the 1 point for right now, this placeholder. So that's just going to give us 1 wrath, or a chance of getting 1 wrath and extra damage. And then we're going to fill these out. Okay. And you'll notice we have 2 points left. So then this is where you can make your final tweaks to your build. You can say, okay, I don't want a 33% chance of wrath. I want 100%, and I'll get a little bit of extra damage. You can do that. Or you can take this out. Boom, 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 boom. Take those last last 2 points and put it in here and get extra armor penetration damage on that first initial burst, so you can really blow somebody up. And again, if you're going to do that, make sure you have some set pieces that are going to add extra damage to your armor pen, so that this 30% base damage is going to just make them explode. Because if you look at it, this is the base damage that's then getting the extra damage added on top of it. So again, you have 2 last points. Maybe you go in here and you pop them in here so that you can get your last little threshold for combo. Maybe you want... Oh, I'm an idiot. Hold on. I think you put it in here. Hold on a second. No, it's not this. Okay, hold on. So this is actually a good thing to talk about. So this you don't want to get because it's a final strike ability. So this passive, or this talent, and this talent, you're not going to get because you're going with Furious Stab. Again, these last 2 points, I would recommend you can put them in here for extra combo. You can finish this out. This is what I normally do, and just get like 100% chance for wrath and the extra damage. Or you can get you can buff your Furious Stab, you can buff your armor pen, or you can even get extra damage on your Blade Cyclone if you're like PvEing and you want it to be able to clear trash mobs faster. Or maybe you're doing a battleground and you want to just blender up an entire team that's sitting on an objective. You can put a bunch of extra points into here. Doesn't matter. You could probably even say screw cross slash and just dump points into Blade Cyclone and increase your damage that way. I just like this because of the wrath generation. I like getting this because of the cooldown reduction. This is going to help us generate wrath. And then I guess the last option would be to put points into here. Same kind of idea. You're going to increase the base damage. So let's see if we can just look at what that increase goes up to real quick. Boom, boom. There we go. 1 there, 2 there. So then we'll fill this out. We have 2 points. So then now we're increasing the base damage of Fury Stab by 30%. And if we don't have Rage, we have a 66% chance of gaining that extra Wrath. So we'll just do this one for now, basically putting those extra points, those final tuning points into our Furious Stab, and watch the difference in my damage rate when I do this. So we'll do it one more time. Pop your buff, dive in, debuff, charge, hit him with this, hit Fury Stab again, hit him with that, hit him with the crosscut, hit him with that, another one. Now watch my cooldown, watch my rage, and then watch the cooldown of armor penetration at the end here. See how I'm just about to drop out of it? Now I'm out of it, and look, this is off cooldown. Boom, I'm right back into it. So this cooldown just happens to be perfect for this setup, and this just happened by, luck of me just playing around with this. But I feel like this is the more consistent damage to do. Again, we're favoring the Furious Stab. It's not a guarantee that we're going to be getting that extra wrath. Remember, we only have 2 points into that last passive for the extra damage, but then the 66% chance of getting the rage, right? So, and the reason why we had to do that was because in order for us to get down to this next level, since we're skipping stuff, we had to put at least a point into here. Now you could take this point out of this and say screw cross slash and put it anywhere else up here. It's up to you. You could put these 3 points into your Blade Cyclone. Again, you could put it up here. You could put it up to the extra third attack. But yeah, this is just kind of what I've learned from playing it for like the last week and just coming out here and smacking around the dummies. But this is just, again, what I learned. And same thing like I talked about in the Paladin video, when you're looking at like how to build out your character. Like for me, what I'm focused on getting primarily is I want to get like combo as like the bigger number so that I can get this passive filled out. I almost have 34% just raw. So like this, for example, I ideally would want to get 105 combo and like 70 focus. So this would be something that I would be running dungeons for to potentially get that belt. So let's just use this as an example. Let's say I wanted to get this stamina off of this belt, right? It has combo, cool, but it has a stamina, ew. So that belt, it's a level 90 belt. So then what you would do is you go to your dungeons, you go to elite, and then you would find which dungeon will drop like the belt. And I think, now that I think about it, I think the belt, I want to say it's your main story quest you get your belt from. So I think your only option then is you basically are going to have to run your dungeons to generate these medals. And then you're going to go to hit this button up here. You're going to go to your dungeon shop. And then this is where you can buy those pieces. So here's all like the level 90 stuff. And we were looking at the belt. Okay, so I could potentially spend these points and get a belt. And I have a random chance of getting, combo or stamina. So this is what like end game dungeon grinding is going to be. It's just more permutations of you running dungeons to generate this currency to like swap out stats in your gear. And eventually like down the road, you're going to have like multiple sets for different like, setups. Like you might have a setup, like I was saying earlier, that focuses on buffing your armor pen, or maybe you have one that's like based off of Final Strike. Like this one wouldn't do me any good because I'm not using Final Strike, so I'd probably want to swap this out. The attributes on this are awesome. I get Omni and combo. This is what you ideally want to get for these type of pieces, okay? So again, dungeon shop right here. And then if you'll look, the currency changes. So you have elementary, you have intermediate, and then we're eventually going to get advanced. And this is going to be the 110 gear score. So right now we don't have this stuff unlocked, but eventually we will. And once it's unlocked, we'll be able to get, basically guaranteed set pieces, or excuse me, I think these guarantee special aptitude, but not the set. If you want to get a piece that has the set bonus, I'm pretty sure it has to be from the Arcane Realm. No, these pieces are just the special aptitude. So then these raids are where the elite raids are where you're going to be getting a piece that is guaranteed a special aptitude and also a set bonus. Okay, so the raids are going to be very important for you guys to do. And I would highly recommend, if you have any of these lucky coins that they've been giving us, I don't know if I have any on me, it's probably in my storage. The lucky coins you're going to want to use getting other rolls on your raid gear. And if you're wondering what the hell that mount is, that is the mount that you get for being in the top 100 of arenas for that week. So every week, once the arena competition ends, the top 100 will get this mount. And it only exists for those 7 days. So pretty cool. You can eventually fly in this thing. I can't fly right now because my reputation in this zone is not 10, but one day we'll see. That's pretty much what I've learned so far on the Wrath version of a warrior. Now, if you want to talk about diving into the tank warrior, definitely do that, but that's not the best place to show it. The best place to show it I found so far that's kind of easy is we'll go to the swamp here in Misty. So one of the questions is, what stats are you aiming for end goal? Well, definitely combo, because if you have combo on your gear, when you swap to tank, here, I'll show you. See how I have combo on this necklace? It's 105 combo. I'm in my raft setup. If I were to then say, oh, I'm gonna go be a tank and swap and look at my gear, that combo now has become glancing, the defensive ability. Same piece of gear, and even the set bonus changes. Now, if you're wondering how the heck do you know that, if you look at the top here, it says War Shield and Wrathful, and you can see how it changes. So in War Shield, this set piece, when I have two of them, I get an extra 1.5% glancing effect. This special aptitude you can replace if you wanted something different. I figured an extra HP recovery effect on my last stand is nice, because I don't really, well, I actually do have a lot of HP recovery, but it just gives me a little bit more. So that works for me. But this is how you can tell like what your 2 different specializations are going to use for each of your gear. So then now let's go over here. I'll just kind of show you the combos for playing this, and we'll get into the build stuff later. But essentially what is the lifeblood of a warrior tank is your Storm Trample. Your Storm Trample is going to allow you to do a ton of damage, but also maintain your tankiness. So you get 5 resilience each time a target is hit. 1 resilience will be added additionally up to 5, right? Every time the skill hits a target, the cooldown is reduced by 1 second, all right? It's a 5-meter radius. It also reduces their movement speed by 20% for 2 seconds. You'll notice by me doing this, I'm charging myself up here. I can start using my defensive abilities. Anytime you use your spammable, your shield bash, you're just going to get extra physical defense, but more importantly, you're going to get 9 toughness. Every time you use your shield bash, it's going to increase the duration of the buff from your shield assault. So you get a bunch of mobs, hit them with this shit. Oh, look, the glowy stuff, hit it, do a shield. Back to spamming this. Another shield. Spam, spam, spam. Oh, this is up. When you pop that, and then that. Repeat. That's basically it. So one of the raids that this is really good for is as an off tank is the Merfolk one. You basically can go in there and you can solo all the ads as a tank and leave your team to just DPS the boss the whole time. You don't need anyone to come over there except for maybe a healer to help you out a little bit. I usually will save my last 2 abilities for the second pull of that raid. But let's just go through the talent tree here. First one here, we have Bruised. Shield Bash grants 3 more toughness and makes the target deal 3% less damage to you for the next 8 seconds upon landing a hit. So toughness is something that we definitely want to be stacking up. The reason why is we have to get to 60 toughness in order to use our Sturdy Barrier, which is our main shield as a tank. For anyone that plays a tank, you know that having your shield is going to make or break whether or not you die or get bursted or whatever. So it's really important. And then this is a really fun passive. I've been digging this one a lot. Base attacks and casting Storm Trample have a 3% and a 15% chance respectively of instantly resetting the cooldown for Shield Bash, and the next Shield Bash does not consume AP. So AP is what's in the middle here, and basically what this is going to do is just help us charge this up faster to get our Sturdy Barrier. So if I pop it once, it's not enough. As I'm doing these auto attacks, I have a chance of resetting the cooldown for Shield Bash. Again, that's 2 hits. Haven't gotten it yet. The Trample was able to reset the Shield Bash. So that's what that passive does. And then now I decided, because I was doing the whole off tanking thing and I wanted to kill things faster, I actually put 3 points into Storm Trample so I could do more damage. You could do the same thing for literally any other tank. If you're going to basically be off tanking, this is kind of like the thing you want to put points into, especially if you're like I think the barbarian tank has his passive somewhere, and I think even the paladin one does too. But that's what that one's going to do, is just basically buff your trample. Sturdy Barrier, this is an absolute must. I don't care what anyone tells you, that you got to get this passive. Base cooldown for Sturdy Barrier is reduced by 3 seconds. While the shield is active, you take 12% less damage. So just flat mitigation all the time that this shield is activated and up. This is my one placeholder ability because I needed to get 3 to go down. I decided not to go down Shatter Shields, and we could get into that in like another video, but mainly just wanted to figure out how can I get all these passives and make my way down to the bottom. So extra little benefit, I get extra 15 toughness when I pop my last stand. Again, this is my oh shit button. In the following 8 seconds, your max HP will be boosted by 29% plus 7658, and your HP will be instantly recovered by 21% plus 5516 HP. And when we use that, we're going to get instantly an extra 15 toughness. So we're getting 15 toughness here. We're getting 3 from this, and we're getting another 9 here. Or maybe this 3 is already counted in the 9. I'm not really sure, but you're going to get extra toughness. And what matters is that after you pop that, be looking to pop your Sturdy Barrier so you can get your shield back up. And this barrier is equal to your max HP, right? So if this thing is boosting your max HP, then this is going to be even bigger shield. See how that works? So the minute you use your last stand, if you have enough toughness, you want to use this thing while you have your last stand active. Remember, it's only activated for 8 seconds. As we move down, look at this. Last stand increases max HP and HP recovery by 20%. So even more than what we're already going to get from this. So really good. When the Shield of Sturdy Barrier expires due to absorbed damage, there is a 100% chance to reduce the remaining cooldown of Last Stand by 2 seconds. So what this means is if you're able to trample a whole lot and generate free shield bashes to then feed into your Sturdy Barrier, and your Sturdy Barrier gets used up over and over again, it's going to actively reduce the cooldown of your Last Stand and allow you to self-heal even faster. Now, counter shield assault's base damage is increased by 15%. That's this guy right here. This thing actually hits for a good amount of damage in PvP. I was really surprised by this, but more importantly, this is your resilience buffer and your glancing buffer. It's like 2 defensive things in one. It's really overpowered. When Shield Bash hits, the remaining duration of your Shield Assault is extended by 2 seconds. So that's why when you see me hitting an enemy and I pop him with this, okay, you want to follow up with Shield Bash so that you're extending the duration of the Shield Assault buff. You see this thing right here? So if I just hit a target with this, it's 8 seconds. But if I hit it with this, it adds duration to it. Okay, so let me do that one more time just from the top. See how it went up to like 10 seconds, or I guess 9. So whenever you use your Shield Assault, you want to follow up with the Shield Bash. Shield Assault, Shield Bash. That's going to increase the duration of this buff. So you're going to do damage. You're going to grant yourself 12 resilience. In the next 8 seconds, your glancing chance is going to be boosted by 18%. Remember, glancing, if you look at our tree here, glancing is the chance of getting 25% reduction on a hit. So this is essentially increasing the rate at which we're going to get like passive mitigation. And then we're also going to get resilience, which reduces crit and combo damage. And it's the chance of ignoring crit and combo from other players. I haven't really seen resilience on the other PvP tanks. I think this might be the only one. I could be completely wrong about this, but the simple fact that this thing is hitting hard and grants this resilience is pretty cool. Not really sure what it goes up to. Maybe I can hit something and like look at my character sheet here and see if it changes. I don't think it does, but let's just see. So we're at 2.9%. Yeah, so it doesn't show it here, but you are going to get that extra amount of resilience. And then the last part of it is kind of important. In the next 8 seconds, your glancing chance will be boosted by 18%. If glancing is not triggered during this period, glancing chance will be increased until glancing is triggered. Now, I don't know how much it increases it, but it sounds like it just keeps going up and up and up and up and up until you eventually get a glancing proc. So that's what this thing does. So again, you're going to hit him with Shield Assault, and then you're going to use your Shield Bash to extend the duration. And then here we go. So Shield Bash deals 15% more damage, and upon hit, HP is going to be recovered by 1.8% of your max HP. Use Pop Last Stand, increase your max HP, pop your Sturdy Barrier, which is going to scale off your max HP. And then you're basically doing this combo where you hit him with Shield Assault and then you follow up with Shield Bash. This is going to give you defensive buffs. It's going to give you crit reduction. And then this is going to essentially heal you, give you extra physical defense, and give you toughness to then fuel back into another Sturdy Barrier. So that's what this passive does. And again, if you have a lot of tramples, if you have a lot of targets around you, you can spam trample. And again, you're trying to proc this passive here where your base attacks and casting Storm Trample have a chance of resetting the cooldown of Shield Bash. So if you're constantly resetting the cooldown of Shield Bash, that tempo that you're doing is going to generate enough toughness to get your shield off. Then it's also going to be giving you self heals from that passive. So really good to get this one. Last stand duration is increased by 2 seconds, and healing received during this period is increased by 10%. So again, this is your oh shit button. 8 seconds, you pop this. It goes up to 10 seconds. That's a gigantic increase in duration for PvP. I really recommend you get this. Plus, if you're getting funnel healed by your healers, you're getting even more healing received add on to yourself. And healing received, for anyone who's played PvP MMOs knows, if you're getting funnel healed, any kind of healing received buff you can get is really, really, really powerful. And the last 4 ones here, I honestly feel like for almost every class, you should get these bottom 4 tiles. We're going to get this one. So casting sturdy barrier has an 18% chance of making the next sturdy barrier grant a shield that absorbs twice the damage. If you pop your last stand, increase your max HP, and throw your sturdy barrier, you might get a double shield. Essentially, you have a chance of getting a double shield on the next time you do it. So if you're really good about being in the clump, you pop this, you're spamming Storm Trample, you already have enough toughness to hit off a sturdy barrier, and you're still spamming your Storm Trample, you're doing this little combo we're talking about earlier, and you can get your second sturdy barrier off while this HP buff is still up, you're going to get a massive shield on your tank. Impenetrable grants 18% more damage reduction with the effect lasting 4 seconds longer. So this is your second oh shit button. So form a shield to protect you in the next 12 seconds, reducing damage taken by 25% and increasing physical defense by 490. So this normally is a 12-second duration. This is going to go up to, I believe, 16 seconds. Let me just double check that by popping it. Yep, 16-second duration. And then the cool thing about this ability is that when you get this down here, now when you pop that impenetrable, it's going to grant 20% of the effect to your nearby allies. So 20% of this damage reduction is going to go to all your allies around you. Now, it's not a huge number, but hey, it's damage reduction. It's going to help out your team. And the last passive we have here is Indomitable. Your max HP is increased by 6%. And for every 30 toughness you gain, there is a 30% chance of recovering 3.5% HP. So remember, every 30 toughness you gain, we're going to get 15 toughness from this point right here. We're going to get 9 toughness here. And then the additional 3 toughness here whenever we use our shield bash. We have tons of enemies around us. We can be basically doing, auto attacks and storm trample to generate a bunch of toughness using our bash here. And all that's going to fuel into more max HP, more self-healing, all that good stuff. The warrior tank is like a very active, engaged, dive into the middle of the clump, try to get as many targets around you as possible type of play style, and it's super fun to play as an off tank. It's amazing to play as a PvP tank, especially if you're diving into a clump. It's insane. It's really fun. I highly recommend it. There's not a lot of warriors out in this game, and it's honestly something great. Now, in terms of insignia stone, in terms of inscribed stone, my bad. I don't know. What I'm doing is very basic. I think what matters the most here is, try to target getting your core. Because I'm like tanking, I don't really go for the movement speed one just yet. I'm definitely going to get this one because of the glancing chance when I do pop my Inscribed stone. What this is going to do is basically increase the speed that I get my toughness. It's just going to help fuel more shields and whatnot. But the trick here with doing these points is you don't really want to put more than 2 points in, because you're going to get diminishing returns. So like this first point I put in here, I'm going to get 52 points. The second point I put in here is going to be 79. So like the glancing per point or the combo per point will diminish as you put more into it. Now, you can get a 50% one, and I think that's an instance where you might want to start putting another point into it. But really, I'm just like targeting focus for the extra defense penetration. I'm targeting for sure like glancing or combo if you're doing damage. And then I just want to get as many of these gem slots as possible. So for my gems, I use this on both DPS and my tank, mainly just because I don't really have anything else that's worth. I'm using Tribal Ode, increase main attributes by 2.5% and stamina by 2.5% in battle, and grant nearby enemies a 50% bonus. This obviously will go up as you upgrade it, but it's just like giving more main stats and stamina to everyone around me, so it's not a terrible thing. everything. Out of control, this is an absolute necessity if you're doing any kind of DPS. Each time you deal direct damage to a target, there's a 13% chance to deal damage equal to 60% of your attack to the target and a small area around them. This value goes up substantially when you get it to level 10. It's a very good one to get. Warlike Surge, each time you use a skill, there is a chance to increase your focus by 72% for 10 seconds. I got super lucky on this one, and I got Emblem skill level +2 or +1 twice. So I essentially have a level 12 Warlike Surge gem. So I'm getting just this massive focus increase of 72%. And that's just gonna like allow me to just slam somebody on a DPS setup, or even in a tank, I guess, for the trample. High energy potion, you're just gonna get extra status effects. I figure it's better than the other gems out there. And then Strive. Strive is an absolute necessity if you're a DPS. I have it on here as a tank just because it's just really good stats. But each time you cause a direct damage skill, there's a chance to deal damage equal to 200% of your attack to the target. So like the DPS warrior that stacks up all this attack, you're going to be able to just like generate extra damage from having this gem in there. So this is what I do for my let's see, this is configuration 2. If I go to configuration 1, it's pretty much the exact same thing in terms of like, you know, what I'm going for. And yeah, 9800. So we've done a little leveling, but you can see here, you know, I've started to put in extra points into my combo, and I've pretty much figured the next one I get is going to send me over the limit, or maybe we're going to get super close to that 34%. So I think I have to do a Dark Invasion, and once I finish that, I'll probably be able to put in like another point and get even closer to getting this extra combo damage. And I put 2 points into these because they have the 50% bonus, and then I'll probably just start. I have a point here, so the next one will be on this one, because again, I'll get more combo points per inscribed point. Again, diminishing returns. Oh, ultimates before I go. But wait, there's more. Ultimates. I don't know if I went over this, but in PvE, if I'm doing PvE DPS, this is what I like to use. Winning Hunger is just an awesome heal to have. You know, if you mess up on a mechanic, you help your healers out, you're popping yourself with 30% HP. It's like having a, you know, a kind of a free potion every minute, essentially. In PvP, I will do, sometimes I'll do this, sometimes I'll swap Winning Hunger out for Break Free. Winning Hunger in PvP, once you upgrade it, it can remove all control effects except for paralysis, and it's going to grant you damage immunity for duration. If you upgrade this, the damage immunity duration will increase, and it's also going to reduce the cooldown by 40 seconds. So this is not a bad one to have, but again, you can't break out of paralysis, but pretty much everything else you can cleanse off yourself with this and give yourself HP. It's really nice. It's really, really nice. And then same thing with Break Free. You can basically run both of these and you're not going to get stopped. But what I like to do is hop on a target and provide immediate debuffs. So Crippling Strike's like the way to go. So when I'm in comms in PvP, I'll call out a target, say, hey, I'm going to leap on this guy right now. I'll charge to them. And then when I charge onto them, anyone that has this passive is going to do 20% extra damage or 30%, whatever their thing is upgraded to. I think 30% is the next. They're going to do extra damage to that target. And then once I see the HP drop a significant amount, they get chunked or whatever, then we'll hit him with Crippling Strike, which when you look at this, it's going to do the 60% heathen reduction. It's also going to do a deceleration. So you're getting 2 debuffs for 7 seconds. And then what's also going to happen is you're going to inflict weak while the skill is active, increasing the damage the target takes by 20%. So essentially, when you hit somebody with Crippling Strike, it's a 60% healing reduction. It's a 60% deceleration. And then in total, you have 20% here, plus whatever this bonus is for you guys here. So I'm getting 20% for decelerated targets. So I'm getting a 40% damage increase on that target whenever I hit him with Crippling Strike. So this is how you like take out healers, or like that one VIP target that you know is like a really good DPS and they're getting funnel healed. This is that ability that's going to help you, you know, push the DPS over the edge. It's very good. PvE, I will just basically swap out, you know, what's needed in the fight. There's some bosses where like having a charge is really good because you can like leap over mechanics, or sometimes you want the dash, especially if you're doing like challenge modes and you got to like really avoid a whole lot of obstacles. Dash is great. You're going to get 2 charges with your dash when you use it. And then typically for PvE, I won't use Crippling Strike. I'll go Slam so that I can help my tanks interrupt different you know, cast from bosses or whatever. I haven't really used Squall Strike, but this looks like it'd be pretty cool. Maybe I'll do that tomorrow. But it basically is a knockout, right? Yeah, rectangular area knockout. So I'm kind of curious. Let's just look. What does this thing do when we upgrade it? Let's see. Every time a player is hit, recovers HP by 4% of max HP. Oh, so this is basically Path of Destiny for anyone that has played a bruiser in New World. Get triggered. This is basically a self heal. That's kind of cool. I'm actually, wow. So that's a whole other way you could probably play a warrior, is you could do Squall Strike and Winnie Hunger and have a bunch of like self heals from that. I'm definitely going to try that tomorrow, especially if it's going to be recovering HP based off of my max HP. And now I'm kind of curious. I don't know if that applies if you're in tank spec, but let me just look real quick. Let me just see. Oh, it totally is. Okay. So that could be very, very, very fun. That's really cool. And it looks like there's no cap to this. Every time a player is hit, recovers HP by 4%. For taunting, I don't use the individual one that often, or maybe I do. Which one am I using? I think I use this one actually. Yeah, the AoE one. I've noticed in like PvE fights, you really don't need the faster duration one. I usually just use this guy and seems to work just fine. If you're doing the single target taunt and you just need to taunt like ads, just spam your Storm Trample and you'll pull them from you. For PvP arenas, what I have been running, Crippling Strike, I do Charge, and I do Break Free. And I'm probably gonna swap out Break Free for Winning Hunger just to test it out. You can essentially still get chain CC'd. Like this duration is only 2.5 seconds. I can see how this gets higher and higher. I don't know if level 5 is the max, but this could be potentially like a 4-second or a 5-second immunity to CCs when it's fully upgraded. I could see that being definitely like useful using, but Winning Hunger I think is going to be what I'm going to start going to because of the damage immunity. I think this damage immunity is going to help out a lot, and the fact that when you put points into this, it reduces the cooldown. What's our cooldown? 59 seconds. So you're going to get like 20 seconds shaved off of it whenever you upgrade it, and that could be a substantial amount of self-healing on the warrior, and that actually might be what I'm missing on my build, especially when I get blown up in arena. It's going to allow me to recover a little bit more. Before I go, I think I actually messed up some passives here. Let me look. Oh no, we're good. So increased damage on decelerated targets, cooldowns have been reduced by 15%, and whenever we're being hit, we're going to get extra movement speed by 15% per hit up to 3 stacks, so potentially 45% movement speed increase if you get hit 3 times in PvP. This is absolutely critical for melee. That is my little warrior spiel. For anyone that has any questions, if you're on YouTube and you're watching this, come check us out on Twitch, join the Discord, ask questions, post them in the comments. I hope this was helpful. All right, thanks for watching.